After a whole 25 years from a devastating civil war, it seems like Rwanda's economy is having a field day. And guess what? With the help of gaining a much more stable government, huge investments into the country, and working their way into sectors outside of agriculture, Rwanda is showing strong signs of an economic recovery. This growth party is expected to keep rocking and rolling in the coming years. With a GDP per capita surpassing that of Mozambique and Malawi and a GDP growing at a rate of 7% annually, it's known as one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. I know it's hard to wrap your head around the fact that Rwanda, a place once infamous for death and conflict, has now become a champ in the economy game. They want to go big, aiming to join the upper middle income club by 2035, and even set their sights on high income status by 2050. Talk about a serious rags to riches story. A robust private sector, excellent government, and an incredible business climate have all contributed to this amazing growth. So let's discover more about how this once devastated country turned into this crazy fast-growing economy. A devastated and impoverished nation was left in the wake of the 4-year civil war that ended in genocide. The devastation of infrastructure and physical capital, the breakdown of social capital, and the loss of human skills made restoration an ambitious and complex undertaking, possibly more challenging than ones Europe faced following World War II. To boost the economy and increase industrial production, the government implemented a number of initiatives. In an effort to facilitate access to foreign currencies for rising private exporters, foreign currency markets were liberalized, enabling exchange boroughs and commercial banks to convert currencies at rates set by the market. In order to facilitate market-based transactions and revitalize the coffee industry, the government is working to liberalize the marketing, processing, and export of coffee through the use of foreign exchange. It has also eliminated export tariffs and enhanced the framework governing exports. To phase off subsidies, price controls were lifted and state enterprises made pricing adjustments as well. While economic growth had averaged less than 1% during the 15 years preceding 1995, it recovered rapidly in the 5 years leading up to 2000, averaging more than 10%. A large portion of this growth was from the reconstitution of internal trade and agricultural markets, which was a simple peace outcome. While these have definitely shaped them, what are the other factors behind Rwanda's huge success? But before we go into it, if you like this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. As you know, economic stability has a direct impact on attracting investors, which is facilitated by political stability. According to the Rwandan Development Board, RDB, investments in Rwanda have increased over the last 10 years, from $800 million in 2007 to $1.675 billion in 2017. This represents a growth of more than 100% in just 10 years. Before choosing to risk their hard-earned money, investors are taking a good look into Rwanda's politics. Long-term planning is impossible under unstable and unpredictable political situations, which also reduces investment profits. So, we can't talk about political stability without talking about good governance, and that's another super important factor behind Rwanda's rise. Rwanda's political system is quite clear about what it hopes to accomplish going forward, and good governance plays a part in the country's economic performance. The government there worked hard to rebuild the nation following the genocide, implementing all economic measures that may strengthen the economy, expanding exports, and raising agricultural output. It demonstrated its capable attempts to be democratic, rule lawfully, effective government intervention, battle corruption, and become transparent. The outstanding development Rwanda has made in most sectors is from the efforts of the country's current president and the Rwandan government. It's diversifying its economy, moving away from solely agriculture and towards the development of services and manufacturing. The country is among the least corrupt in Africa as per the Corruption Perception Index. So doing business must be easy there. No? Well, better than before. The significant improvement in economic and social performance was made possible by stable governments, responsible management, and a good investment environment. The economy grew fast and reached a new level. Indicators of doing business published by the World Bank list Rwanda among the best performers. For instance, it now takes significantly fewer days to register a business. In addition to creating good business environments, Rwanda is also the only low-income country, LIC, among the top 30 in the World Bank Doing Business Index, ranking 29th overall. Talking about the development of the service sector, can you believe that the tourism industry in this small landlocked country reached its highest point in the previous 2 years? And what's more stunning is that tourism revenues increased by 170% between 2021 and 2022. This was mainly due to the country's stability and the fact that travellers enjoy their time there. Travellers come to Rwanda not just for investment purposes, but also for conferences, seminars, and vacations because of the country's rare population of mountain gorillas, pretty important to their country. The foundation of Rwanda's tourism and conservation sectors continues to be gorilla tourism. It brought in $107 million to Rwanda over the previous 9 years. All these factors are bearing fruit. Finally, significant increases in living standards came hand in hand with economic expansion. One of the two nations in sub-Saharan Africa to accomplish every high-related Millennium Development Goal was Rwanda. Between 2000 and 2020, there was a significant decrease in under 5 mortality, mental mortality ratio, and overall fertility rate due to increased access to modern contraception. Access to services improved as a result of a strong emphasis on domestic policies and efforts. So it seems everything is going well, and Rwanda's life is full of stars and butterflies. But that can't be it, right? What problems are they going through? First of all, because of its heavy reliance on agriculture, Rwanda finds it challenging to figure out GDP growth each year. Unpredictable droughts throw economic forecasts for a loop, and climate change makes it more difficult to predict weather, especially when it comes to low water levels. Rwanda's topography also presents challenges, with 90% of its domestic cropland located on slopes that range in altitude from 5 to 55%. Annual soil erosion is around 1.4 million tons, a huge concern considering that 80% of Rwandans rely on agriculture for their livelihood. To become more environmentally friendly and less vulnerable to the consequences of climate change, the Rwandan government is working to decarbonize the energy industry. Even though more than 50% of Rwandans have access to power at home now, the price of electricity is still crazy high. So to help everyone out, the government will need to offer incentives like tax cuts to the public and the energy sector to convert to renewable sources so they can create cheaper electricity. But the current government still has more things to worry about. The current authoritarian leadership has been able to entrench its control despite significant advancements in education and technology, as well as economic growth. As a result, this made it possible for violence against its population to continue. While eradicating poverty is undoubtedly crucial, it is probably not sustainable to neglect democracy altogether. So, what about the future of Rwanda? Let's take a few steps forward and discover some future implications. The country's economic progress has lifted at least 1 million people out of poverty. Don't believe me? You'll be surprised when I tell you that during the 90s, Rwanda's GDP per person was way below $300. Now it's more than $1,000. That's insane. But as you know, nothing is perfect. Unfortunately, poverty is still prevalent in Rwanda despite the nation's advancement over the last 25 years. Government statistics show that about 16% of the population lives in extreme poverty and 39% lives below the poverty line. The government's largest task remains eliminating the high percentage of poverty and providing jobs for the majority of the youthful people, even in the face of steady economic growth. Despite having one of the highest primary enrollment levels in sub-Saharan Africa, barely 4% of Rwandans over 25 have completed higher education. The government's current aim to address this is to increase equitable access to reasonably priced higher education and to extend basic education to 12 years. As per the National Institute of Statistics, individuals between the ages of 16 and 30 comprise 26.6% of Rwanda's total population, and 85% of them possess reading and writing skills. This demographic makeup shows more of a burden than an opportunity in a nation where over 16.7% of the workforce is unemployed and 53% of the population is under the age of 19. Can you believe that? Half of the population under 19. So what should be done? There is no denying that the industrial sector has expanded extremely slowly. That's why Rwanda needs to place a strong emphasis on attracting investment in the fields of manufacturing, because many Rwandan investors don't invest in the manufacture of industrial goods, and for many nations without manufacturing, growth eventually slows down. To sum up, during the past few years, Rwanda's put so much effort into reviving its economy. And yes, it's booming now, but there remain several challenges that Rwanda should address in order to sustain its economic growth. It will take ongoing efforts to improve the standard of basic services such as health, education, and social safety nets, as well as infrastructure. It will also be necessary to effectively encourage private sector job creation and entrepreneurship. That shouldn't mean ignoring human development. In fact, Rwanda receives a Human Capital Index score of 0.38 from the World Bank, which is somewhat higher than the average for low-income nations, but lower than the average for sub-Saharan Africa. So, live and fight another day, Rwanda. We'll be here watching you. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.